Welcome to the Talkish Podcast with host brother and sister Heidi Whiting and Justin Talkish. Join us for open and honest discussion on faith, mental health, and overall well being. Get ready to explore important topics, gain insight, and find inspiration as we create a safe space for growth and self discovery. Let's talk ish.
All right.
All right. All right. So, what is the topic for today, brother?
We're going to talk about the Montgomery Brawl,
Mm-hmm.
and I think one of the most powerful aspects of the Montgomery Brawl. Well, let's. I mean, we could just reflect on it like before we really dive into it.
Okay.
You know, the hat toss was everything.
Everything. It was the bat signal.
I feel like I need to always wear a hat now,
Absolutely.
so I can be ready to throw that signal out at all times. Um, and then the 16-year-old swimming to assist, that was another thing.
Aquaman.
And um, and the suplexes into the water, there was something that really just touched my spirit.
Yes. Penetrated.
What
Penetrated my whole soul.
this ain't that kind of podcast.
Okay. No. What was my favorite part?
Hmm.
I just love to see the women just come in and just
Yeah.
that gratified my soul. And I know Harriet, because it was on the Harriet. I know Harriet just had,
That was the name of the ship?
the ship was called the Harriet too.
No.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know she just. You ever see that meme with the little boy drinking coffee, looking at his kids like he's proud?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I feel like that was Harriet drinking a mug of coffee.
Well, I think you bring up that point was like unity,
Mhm.
right? How black unity, you kind of saw that in just kind of surrounding this guy. And it made me think of a quote from Malcolm X where he said, "There could be no black or white unity until there's first some black unity. We cannot think of uniting with others until after we have first united among ourselves. We cannot think of being acceptable to others until we have first proven acceptable to ourselves." And so maybe we could just kind of start there with that quote. Um, and maybe, do you have any thoughts or reflections just to start like with that quote?
First of all, everybody knows Malcolm X is my man. I love, and I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Nobody's gonna give us the respect that we demand if we don't give it to ourselves first. I mean,
Mm,
it's just simple as that. And I think that um, this is a way for us to see what we look like in unity, see how it works, see that we really don't even need. It does not take much, and we don't really need the catalyst of um, an attack
yeah,
to call us.
yeah,
It could be something very subtle.
yeah.
I as soon as that happened, like whenever I saw it that Monday, it was literally like a holiday. I was supposed to go to the office. The first meme that I saw, I was like, I ain't going nowhere. And I sat around and I watched memes, and we had deep belly laughs all
Mhm.
day. And it was like a holiday for us. And so, but one thing that I felt in that moment was I felt a moment of like joy, but I also felt a moment of like, dang, man, I don't want this to go. I just wanted to bottle that up,
Mm,
and
mm, mm.
I want it to last.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that reminded me of like the last time I really felt like that black unity was whenever Black Panther first came out,
hmm
right? And everybody would go to the theater and there was like people were dressed up and it was like, it was this unity. And I remember having the same feeling. I think I texted you or something like that afterwards, like, damn, I wish Wakanda was for real.
hmm
And like, and it kind of made it a little sad because it's like there is no place like that for us. But one of the things that you said that really uh, hit home with me was um, seeing the unity, right? There's something really powerful about symbols, right? And there was the symbol of the hat, right? The symbol of the Harriet, the symbol of, we forgot to mention, the chair.
Oh yeah,
Um, the chair.
was a paid actor.
The chair was the co-star.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I think there's something really powerful about seeing the unity. And I've even seen like real like artwork that captures that moment.
oh yeah,
I think about, in our history books, we see all these depictions of, Black folks hanging from trees and, being in chains like animals, and or police, going upside somebody's head, or
absolutely.
hoses or dogs or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really see pictures of Black people taking it to white folks.
Yeah.
And there was something really powerful about that image, I think, that resonated with a lot of people.
Yeah. And one one of the things that was just, it tickled me and it also put me in like complete awe is the actual, like, the speed of our creativity. Literally okay, if you say the first video dropped at 6 a.m., by 12 there was a soundtrack. There were whole depictions. There was whole scenes acted out.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the creativity of the embodiment of that moment, and how we rise to each occasion and take it, and like we are the blueprint to so much creativity.
Oh my gosh.
And just like it was just so amazing to see. Like I was thoroughly entertained.
Mm-hmm.
As if those were like major productions that they put on. And they were just simple skits. Like the creativity just at the drop of a hat. Like I absolutely, that's something to really like think about, like how resilient we are, and just how like we take these moments and just make literally history with them. This is history. And it was less history. I mean, the video was history, but it was us that made it that, it was our reactions and everything after that made the moment 20 times, 10 times, 100 times more special.
I've heard this saying that applies to like this newer generation. And I've seen people even wear T-shirts that says, "We're not our ancestor. We're not our ancestors." Like you can't.
That annoys me.
You can't come at us like you saw people coming at you like in the 50s and the 60s. And I think that's a little bit of a misrepresentation.
100%.
I don't celebrate Juneteenth because I don't like the idea of a white man giving us freedom. I just don't like the idea of celebrating that. I like to celebrate Nat Turner's insurrection, where he took the fight to them.
Yeah.
And, it was, ultimately a kind of, he was killed in the end, and, maybe didn't accomplish maybe what he had set out to do, but it sparked something. And his memory lives on. And, I felt the spirit of Nat Turner.
Oh yeah.
Throughout that whole thing. And, but I don't want to besmirch our ancestors, because we would not be where we're at. We wouldn't even have the foundation, the ability to rise up if our ancestors didn't pave the way.
Absolutely.
For us to get to this point.
Yeah, and I'm going to take it even a step further. I feel like we're not our ancestors, but in a way that our ancestors were stronger than us. The way we're built today, we can't deal. We'd fold. The things that we get upset about are tiny things compared to what our ancestors had to deal with and put up with. So we're not our ancestors, but more so on, we don't live up to that currently. So I think of it like on that scale. Our ancestors, if it wasn't for them, we would not be here today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like they were what we have to deal with, and the little things that we complain about,
Yeah.
absolutely, they would never.
There are so many forces. If anybody has read like the Willie Lynch uh, letters, right? Uh, this brutal slave master. The term lynching came from his last name. Um, in how to keep slaves in line by this brutality, and also through division, right? There's always been division that's been sown among black people. It's not like black people are um, just antagonistic towards each other. That was programmed over hundreds of years into to divide us. And so like we're talking about this split between today's generation and our ancestors, as opposed to seeing it as uh, this unified kind of collective group. Uh, I read a book recently called the Shield and the Sword. Um, this is also talking about kind of the split between Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Um, and what the book really highlighted was they were so much alike,
Oh, absolutely.
right? There was when King was ultimately assassinated, he was not loved. He was hated.
Hmm.
He had a horrible approval rating among Americans in this country. You know, he's now cherry picked now as somebody who we should be like, uh,
Hmm.
but they killed him for being like he was. So, um, and so like, I think there's unification to be found. Like for you, like what do you feel like some of the struggles? What are some of the obstacles you feel like to unity?
Some of the obstacles to unity, for me, I would say to Black unity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, to me, the biggest obstacle to Black unity, and I'm gonna say it, I say it a lot on my TikTok, intersectionality. It's the biggest
Mm.
obstacle.
Okay.
It's the biggest
Expand.
obstacle. The reason why is because intersectionality, and I know the history, and I know a Black woman created the term in the 1980s and all of that stuff, and I
Well,
know that.
explain it to people who don't know.
Okay, so intersectionality talks about how somebody's marginalized status can intersect beyond, just race. So I'm a Black woman. My intersectionality is I have multiple actually avenues of intersectionality. So I'm a Black woman, which women are marginalized.
Mm.
I'm Black. And then I'm biracial, which is also another subgroup, and so you could and if I was gay, that would be another intersection.
Mm.
So it's a way, to me, I feel like it's a way to splice up and to divide. It is, I truly believe, and you could disagree. A lot of people do disagree with me on this. I truly believe that it's psychological warfare.
Mm.
I don't think it was intended that way by the person who created it, but I
Mm-hmm.
believe that, governments and systems created it to, to be
Mm-hmm.
psychological warfare
Mm-hmm.
against us and to create a lot of micro revolutions so we could forget about the main revolution.
Mm.
And then I had also I was also speaking on how there's a lot of these movements that gain their momentum, gain their strength off the shoulders of the civil rights movement,
Mm-hmm.
but they never went back to check on it, and because of that,
Mm-hmm.
because all those movements, they got their foot up and they pretty much chucked the deuces and left us behind.
Mm-hmm.
And now basic civil rights are being lost,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to catch up to them, like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So whenever, the leaves of the root, like the branch is always the last to know, before when the
Mm-hmm.
plant is dying, the root's going to die first. So you see that the root's dying, but
Mm-hmm.
y'all are thriving. It's going to be a matter of time. So I think that is one of the biggest obstacles. Once people understand that you got to go back to the root, water that root first,
Mm.
I think that we're going to have issues.
Mm.
Yeah.
One of the things I see as like a huge obstacle, at least in America, is this idea that America was they never had us in mind in the creation of America. Um, I personally don't think. I heard you say it on TikTok the other day. Like, there's nothing redeemable about American culture.
Mhm.
There's nothing redeemable. Throw everything out.
Yep.
Start from scratch. And, because I think, one of the divides I see is, and I think W.E.B. Du Bois talked about the divide between some of these elitist, educated, right? We would fall in line with that, right? I have an advanced degree, I have a master's degree in counseling psychology. You have a degree, and versus those who are more kind of who may not have that level of education, right? That's another intersectionality
Oh yeah.
piece, right?
Mhm.
Is education,
Exactly. Poverty.
poverty, financial status, social status, and so I see that, but there is this, I was so disappointed when I saw a picture of Ice Cube buddying up with Tucker Carlson,
Mm.
right? And it's clear that he's bought into the lie that it's for everybody,
Yeah.
and it's not,
Yeah.
And I think it's important maybe for us to stop looking to these celebrities
Oof.
because they are not carrying our message.
Yep.
Um, I heard he's a comedian. He was on the 85 South show, but I loved how he talked about it. He was like crying tears. He was like black people look to celebrities as the model, but they don't even know about the people who are in their own neighborhoods
Yeah.
who are actually doing the work,
Absolutely.
right? And so this whole idea of celebrity, I think that really gets in the way because there are awful representations
Absolutely.
of what black unity actually needs to look like. So maybe finding somebody within your circle, find somebody in your neighborhood, in your city that is doing that work, right? And join and partner with them. I also think that it's important to realize and accept there isn't going to be perfect unity.
Mm-hmm.
There's just going to be some people who ain't going to vibe with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's while that makes me sad, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
And you can't take everybody with you.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a big one.
You can't take everybody with
And we have to be real about that.
Mm-hmm.
We got to be real about that because in our culture, it's a lot of people that we know. I mean, even in, we know about how people could really, really drag you down and just carrying dead weight. People who ain't trying to take you seriously. You're going to have that. We got to be realistic about that. People are going to be left behind.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as simple as that. And I'm going to go off of what you were saying as far as like looking towards celebrities. I think that the American dream is a trap, and I think that a lot of black people think that capitalism, being black capitalist, is the cure to racism, and it is not. It is not. Like I said, the whole system has to be thrown away, branch and the root, because you're going to. Well, anytime you get into like really high capitalism, you cannot avoid exploitation. So who you exploiting? You know what I'm saying? So you're just reinventing the wheel. It's the same system, but you think that because you're functioning at the top of it, you're going to exploit and hurt other people. And who do you think those people are going to be? Other black people. It's a dog eat dog. It's a dog eat dog thing, and I'm telling you now that is killing any chance of a revolution. Mm-hmm. It is killing any chance of unity because it's all based in greedy, individualistic goals, and there's like, and you can't function with that. But the thing about it is, it's saturated in our culture. It's saturated, and we think that people get their Benzes and they say #blessed. They think that they've made it. They think that they are the ancestors' dream, fulfilled because they have these materialistic things. And half the time, our ancestors just wanted to live in peace, and we don't have that. and not no amount of cash holding up dollar bills to your ear like it's a damn cell phone is going to change that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all of this reckless pursuit of money and greed
Mm-hmm.
is not the answer. And
Yeah.
until we figure that out as a collective, and the celebrities get real about it, I mean, that's holding us back.
But I think I'm going to bring up something that we talked about yesterday on our live on TikTok was um, the change has to first start with you,
Hmm.
right? Like as a former preacher, I would always see these examples and stories, and I'd be automatically thinking about, oh, this would be good for the congregation to hear, or this would be good for other people to hear. And any time I approached the sermon with that mindset, it fell flat every single
Mm.
time. Whenever I approached the sermon with considering myself first and foremost, and maybe not even another person, um, that's when it had its most impact. And so I really think that we're going to see the unity and the change when people stop looking outward to gather a group of people together, because people follow leaders,
Yeah.
right? They
Yeah.
just do. And because leaders they're not talkers, they're doers.
Yeah.
And so we need people who take that seriously, and allowing their light to shine. And it will either attract or it will um, push other people away. But that's, Jesus didn't have a whole bunch of folks.
Hmm.
He had 12 people. It wasn't the masses were not unified under him,
Yeah.
right? Um, and so, it can't, we have to, I think rethinking like what black unity looks like. Um, I think could be really important, because I think if we look at it as like this whole mass has to be together, like there's 5 of us in our family, same mom, same dad. We don't have the same opinions. We have different likes and dislikes, right? So anytime you get a whole group of people, you're going to magnify that by 100 times, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so there's going to be differences, right? And so unity doesn't necessarily mean sameness.
Oh yeah.
Unity includes diversity of thought, diversity of faith, diversity of social status, right? Um, all of the different intersectionality points that you were referring to. Um, you know, Recognizing that unity doesn't have to mean sameness. It means that you know, I think that there needs to be unity behind a common objective and goal, but there are many ways to go about it, and um, there's no one way to do it,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It may look different in Baltimore than it does in Seattle. Matter of fact, I know it's going to look different in
Oh,
Baltimore
absolutely.
than it look in Seattle.
Yeah.
So, um, and just being okay with that, right? Because different people approach things different ways,
Hmm.
and you know what the universe has implanted in me may not be implanted in you.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean mine is better than yours. It means that they're different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I exactly what you said as far as like different things is going to take the doers, not the talkers. I'm not saying talkers. There's always you need talkers. You need the people to the charismatic leaders that have that are the orators to get them out the crowd going, to move and to sway people, to get them really stirred up and to care. Take them out of complacency. But I feel like we're stuck on that level. We're stuck in that, and we've been stuck in that zone for decades now. What
Mm-hmm.
we forget is that the civil rights movement, yeah, you had your charismatic leaders, but you had people working hard underground. I was talking about the Rosa Parks story. The Rosa Parks story, it was all planned. Like it wasn't just no happenstance that she just
Mm-hmm.
was tired with her feet. That was just a false.
Mm-hmm.
That they want us to know that. They want us to think that, but there was a whole plan. and Martin Luther King was involved, but there were other people that do not have, whose names really aren't out there,
Yeah.
who were completely involved in that plan. It was strategic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That act did not require her to say anything.
Mm.
It was an act of defiance.
Mm-hmm.
That simple act. Mammy Till,
Yeah.
she didn't say anything. She didn't get on the podium.
Nope.
She made a courageous decision that most mothers, every mother I know, wouldn't make. I couldn't make that. Any mother I know that wouldn't be able to make that decision, but she did. And so it takes acts like that. And like you said, each region is going to be different. For example, you could have people in the South making a huge stand on agriculture, refusing to buy from, and then growing and really, farming and tilling that soil on their own. You could do that. You could have people, you could have health. It's going to look different in healthcare, even in different sectors. I'm a nurse. The healthcare sector is, you go into Baltimore and walk into any hospital, it's built like a plantation. All your, all of your low-paid, low-level, lower-level employees, those are going to be your black people. Baltimore being I think it's 68% black, 68% minority, whatever. They make very small percentage of the people who are in the high-paid leadership positions, and so that could look different because, for real, we are the healthcare system here in Baltimore. Simple as that. I mean, we have the sheer numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's going to look different in different ways in different regions. But you're right. It's just going to take somebody to do.
Yeah.
We have to get out of the talking phase. The talking phase is okay, and it could run in line at the same time with the doing, but we got to get out of the talking. And you made a great point yesterday when you said that you think a lot of that talking is avoidance.
Yeah.
We talk so we could avoid.
Because we're scared.
We're scared of I think we're mainly scared of the sacrifice we know it's going to take. We don't want to sacrifice. We feel like we're going to take a step back if we have to live a little gutter, you know what I'm saying? Penny pinch, or really live off the land. We feel like we're taking a step back, but I'd rather take a step back to take 10 steps forward. You have to think about the long run, the big picture, but people ain't ready to do that. People are chasing comfort.
Yeah.
They're chasing comfort and luxury is an artificial poverty.
Ooh.
Luxury is an artificial poverty, and contentment is a natural wealth. So if you stay content, and you'll be wealthy.
I want to I'm not sure how long we've been going, but I want to.
We have 5 more minutes for this episode.
Okay, maybe then we can end on this part of the quote that Malcolm X said. He said, "We cannot think of being acceptable to others until we have first proven acceptable to ourselves." And a lot of what you had just talked about, when you said black people represent the healthcare system here, right? One of the things that systematic oppression and racism does is it really hits identity really hard, right? And to not be able to see your worth, your value, your power, right? And that can't be taught to you. That can't be implanted into you. That's personal work that you have to do in yourself. And so to be acceptable to ourselves, a lot of these ornaments of wealth are really just makeup to cover up how we feel about ourselves. We don't feel worthy unless we have, the J's, right? And or the nice house or the nice car. Those aren't the things that make you valuable.
Yep.
It doesn't make what makes you valuable isn't necessarily what you do. I use this example all the time. There was a once upon a time where everybody in this room was a baby that couldn't do anything for anybody. As a matter of fact, we were more of an inconvenience and a burden. We
Mm-hmm.
kept our parents up. They had to change our diapers, right? We didn't know anything. No one, but no one would look at a baby and say they're not valuable.
Yeah.
So we're not, what we do, what we possess isn't what makes us valuable. What makes us valuable is this internal, you know, in actually, one of the things I really hope that I'm doing in my private practice is I'm helping people to see their power
Mm-hmm.
and their goodness and um, in what they have to offer. I don't go into therapy sessions, you know, being the expert of their lives. My goal is to empower my clients, and so, um, you know, finding ways to feel empowered, I think, is really a way that we can be acceptable
Mm-hmm.
to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you made some really great points, and I think we're going to wrap it up there. Before we go, I do want to talk to the audience and ask them to, if you have any questions or any feedback from this episode, or any recommendations on any other episodes that you would like for us to talk about, you could contact us at the real talkish podcast at gmail.com. Our website will be up soon, and you could also follow both Justin and I on TikTok. Justin is what is it?
At the Gospel of Talkish on TikTok.
The underscore gospel underscore of underscore talkish underscore. I mean,
No
or
underscore
no
last.
underscore after
Yeah.
talkish. Okay, and mine is Healing Minds 211. So you could follow us there, and we're on YouTube and Spotify, and it was great talking to you guys, and we will be back next time.